You rarely notice the exact moment you were trained to become easy, not strong, just easy to handle. For years, you were told that the way to a woman's heart is through softness, constant compromise, and endless care. That if you're kind enough, patient enough, understanding enough, love will naturally follow. It sounds noble, almost admirable, but the truth is, that idea slowly strips you of your strength. It turns you from someone with direction into someone waiting for approval, from a center into a shadow. You start adjusting yourself, smoothing over your edges, swallowing things that don't sit right with you, just to maintain connection. You think you're creating comfort, but what you're really doing is erasing yourself. And then something strange happens. The more you try to be good, the less you are felt. Not because you're not trying hard enough, but because you disappear inside your effort. Modern culture pushes this pattern hard. It teaches you to suppress intensity, avoid conflict, soften anything that might feel too much. But instinct doesn't follow those rules. It doesn't respond to polite words or moral logic. It responds to energy, raw, real, unfiltered. You can explain all day why you're a good person. You can prove your loyalty, your reliability, your willingness to stay. None of it matters if there's no strength behind it, because desire doesn't come from logic. It isn't built on arguments. It comes from the feeling that the person in front of you stands on their own, that they don't cling, don't depend, don't dissolve. The moment your kindness becomes a strategy to hold on to someone, it stops being kindness. It becomes fear. Fear of losing, fear of rejection, fear of being alone. And that fear is impossible to hide. It leaks into everything. Your tone, your reactions, your "it's fine," when it clearly isn't. She may not consciously think about it, but she feels it. And that's where decisions are made, on a level deeper than thought. Attraction isn't analyzed. It's sensed. Instantly, subconsciously, precisely. You can build the perfect model of a relationship in your mind. Support equality, understanding, care. But without one key element, it collapses. Inner stability. No one is drawn to emptiness. No one wants to lean on something that is itself searching for support. Strength isn't aggression. It's the ability to remain yourself, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it risks not being liked. It's your internal anchor. Without it, you compensate. You give more, try harder, adjust further. But the more you compensate, the more obvious the absence becomes. Here's the paradox most people resist. The less you need approval, the more you receive it, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you stop needing. And that shifts everything. Your presence, your words, your reactions. A man who walks his path without asking permission doesn't come off as cold. He feels alive. He has direction, movement, energy that isn't aimed at impressing. And that creates attraction, not trying to be needed, but being complete without needing validation. When you stop clinging, you become centered. When you stop asking for attention, you begin to radiate it. This isn't a technique. It's what happens when fear stops running your life. A woman isn't drawn to someone who is endlessly available in every way. She's drawn to someone who cannot be fully controlled, not because he's playing games, but because he's free, because he has his own life, his own goals, his own momentum that doesn't pause for approval. And this is where most men struggle, because being nice is easy when it's driven by the desire to be liked, but being real is harder. It requires the willingness to lose approval, comfort, the illusion of control. And yet, that's exactly where attraction begins, in the quiet statement. I remain myself, even if it's not for everyone. That's not stubbornness. That's integrity. You either live from abundance and give, or from lack and seek. And people feel the difference instantly. A man who agrees with everything slowly fades away. He becomes predictable, safe, comfortable, and invisible. And nothing in nature is drawn to what creates no tension, because desire lives in that tension, in uncertainty, in the sense that there's something more beneath the surface. A woman doesn't need a soft shadow. She needs something solid, not someone who adjusts, but someone who defines space, not someone who disappears, but someone who remains. And the more you see this, the clearer a difficult truth becomes. Everything you thought was right may have been quietly killing attraction from the start. And the hardest part isn't realizing it. It's accepting what comes after. Because once you see it, you can't go back. You can't pretend anymore that being good is enough to be desired. You start noticing things you never saw before. How her energy shifts when you agree too quickly. How tension disappears when you become fully predictable. How conversations become smooth, calm, and empty. Everything looks right on the surface, but nothing moves underneath. No spark, no life. And then many men make the next mistake. They swing to the opposite extreme. They become distant, cold, sharp, but that's still dependence, just in another form. It's still reaction, not authenticity. Real strength isn't about pretending to be unavailable. It's about not needing to be. That difference changes everything. You're not playing a role. You're simply not dependent. And that creates something rare, something real. A woman isn't searching for perfection. She's searching for feeling, a space where she can react, feel, and be alive. And that space only exists when you are alive yourself, not trapped in fear, not restricted by the need to impress. There's a subtle truth many overlook. A slight possibility of losing you can create more attraction than the certainty of having you, not as a tactic, but as a natural result of your independence. What comes easily is rarely valued, not because people are ungrateful, but because that's how the mind works. Value exists where there's risk. Remove the risk, and you remove the meaning. What people call tests aren't games. They're instinct, a way to sense who you are. Will you fold under pressure or stay grounded? These moments show up in tone, in tension, in subtle challenges. And everything is decided there, not in your words, but in how you carry yourself when things get uncomfortable. Do you soften, explain, adjust, or stay calm without losing yourself? Failure here doesn't create anger. It creates something worse, loss of respect. Quiet, subtle, final. But when you hold your ground, it doesn't create conflict. It creates attraction because it shows stability. And there's another layer, vulnerability. Weak vulnerability seeks rescue. It places emotional responsibility on someone else. That creates pressure and pushes people away. Strong vulnerability is different. It's honesty without losing your center. It's openness without dependence. It's like the difference between a wound and a scar. A wound needs care. A scar shows strength. And people respect strength. When you live from this place, everything shifts. You stop trying to hold on. You start allowing. You stop controlling. You start connecting. And this creates something essential, polarity. Not force, but natural. Difference creates tension. Tension creates energy. And energy becomes attraction. But here's the truth most avoid. Desire doesn't live in total comfort. It lives on the edge between closeness and distance. If you completely merge, one side disappears. And without two sides, there's no tension, no spark. Real connection isn't about becoming one. It's about staying two and choosing to meet, like two flames. They can grow stronger together, but if you force them into one, they go out. When you stop fearing loneliness, you stop fearing closeness. You don't cling, you choose, and that changes everything. Because now, you're not seeking someone to complete you. You're sharing a life that's already full, and that creates something deeper, real attraction, not forced, not chased, but naturally felt. Because in the end, attraction isn't built through effort. It's revealed when nothing unnecessary remains, when there's no fear, no performance, just presence. And in that presence, you don't lose yourself. And that's exactly why you become unforgettable.